Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray, brought to you proudly by Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, Barton Power Sports, Sportsman's Warehouse, and Best Care Home Services.
Hey, welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray, and really appreciate talking to Ken Cook, longtime friend with Seopa and other places, about his new book that I think is a pretty cool book that you ought to check out. It's called Return to Wild Country. And speaking of return to wild country, what better wild country place do we come than in the old Bayou Bottoms or wherever Steve McCadams may be right now? We've actually got him on the line. Go, Steve.
Hey, Larry, good to be with you. I'm trucking around in the gumbo mud of the old Bayou River bottom, working decoys.
Oh man, hadn't you had so much fun this season in the waterfowl?
It's been a pretty tough one. It's been a pretty tough one across the 4-state region. I keep up with a lot of hunters across a vast area, and we're all hoping to go out in style here on the final week, and we hit the swan song this week pretty quick, but we finally got some cold weather coming in, and everybody's pumped up about that, even though it's been a long, warm, wet winter. We're finally getting the cold snap, and maybe too little too late, but we're going to take advantage of it, we hope.
Well, I've got Frank Barton here sitting next to me as one of my co-hosts and my duck hunting buddy here, and we had Tommy Aiken on last week, and he kept saying terrible. I'm not sure how do you spell that, but it was terrible.
T-U-R.
T-U-R. Yeah, Frank corrected terrible.
Yeah, terrible.
But the worst he's seen. I think he said that last year too. But it's we're weather driven, right, Steve?
We are. Down in Dixie, we depend on Mother Nature and the weather. And this year we've had so much water the entire season, quite frankly. And the Mississippi is backed out now, and that's been happening for 2 or 3 weeks. When you mix flooding with a very warm winter, which curtailed the migration, I just don't think we've had the ducks down south this year, numbers we've had in the past at this time of the year. But when you mix those two things together, it's pretty tough sledding, and that's what we've had this year. And it's hard to overcome it. We've all begged and prayed and done everything we can, but maybe we'll have a good final week.
Well, now you've done this for how long?
42 years.
42 years, all right?
42.
This season would rank what on your list of 42 years?
Well, it's pretty close to the bottom, Larry. I have to agree with Tommy that said last week. We just have not had the ducks to look at, and you can't kill what you can't see. And
no.
We just hadn't had them to play with. There's been a few rare exceptions. I talked to some hunters across the West Tennessee river bottoms and West Kentucky and eastern Missouri and the Boot Hill and eastern Arkansas. You hear a few success stories,
yeah.
But when you look at the big picture and overall, and you talk to a guy that's hunted, day in and day out, they're just saying they just have not seen the ducks this year in that region. And there's a couple of $1 million clubs. I call them $1 million clubs. That's what people spend sometimes to buy a farm and try to kill a few ducks. And,
yeah.
And there's been a few isolated success stories of guys killing them, but most of them have not.
And this is your business, buddy. I know there's no guarantee when people come, and I know they come from a long way to hunt with you because you are among, if not the best, at what you do. So you have to explain to them, and I guess when you get those first-timers and they said, what happened, Mr. McCadams?
Yeah, it's tough sometimes. You can't explain away Mother Nature, but you just like playing a slot machine. You got to pay your money and take your chance, and you hope for the best and prepare for the worst. But when you hadn't got Mother Nature putting the birds up in the air, it's very hard on people like me trying to guide commercially. And the real foot's been tough. I've got a lot of friends there,
yes.
Across the 4-state area, and it's just like fishing. Some days you get them, and some days you don't. And the only control you've got really is being there. You can do the other thing, put the brush on the blind, be on time, have your boat motor running, the decoys out, and the dog tuned up, and all the other things, your duck call and everything else. But you've got to have a little help from Mother Nature.
And I know when we look at this thing, I heard lots of ducks were on the Mississippi River. Would you like some more water? We could give you some more water if you need some.
I do not need any more water, no. We do not. I think a lot of our ducks just didn't make it down this year because they got to southern Illinois and western Kentucky and areas to our north, and they had plenty of food and open water. I have not knocked ice off a decoy one time this year, not the first time. So that is unusual in and of itself. Usually we're getting a boat paddle out and trying to break a little ice or knocking the frost off of them, but boy, we hadn't had to do it this year.
Well, Frank, I know you listen to Steve as he talks like this, and you being an avid duck hunter, in your area, and you hear this type from a man who knows his ducks, what does that mean for next week for you?
Well, it's more prayer.
Yeah.
It'll be in harmony. I'm with you.
And like I've always said, there's no one more optimistic than a duck hunter.
I can remember. I've heard you say that. I think I've heard Steve say that early in the year when we did get off to a fairly good start opening day. I'm not sure after that, but from the commercial standpoint and your guide service, it's so you look at 60 days. All right, let's talk about this for just a second. The feds give us 60 days. It ends on the 31st of January, and as far as I'm concerned, there's a lot of ducks still around on the 15th of February. So I'm looking late ducks, late seasons. There's really no way to really know what to happen. It's all, like you said, a game of chance, right?
Well, it is. I think that Frank will agree. There's years like this you wish it was later, but normally this is an unusual year. Normally we've had weather by now, and you get a youth hunt going on, the first 2 weeks of February.
Yeah.
Here in Tennessee, at least you do. So they still get a chance late, but a lot of times biologists tell me some of those ducks begin to pair off before they head back, and so you're pushing it. If you push it too far, you might be affecting the resource in different ways that we're not aware of. But I can't ever remember the season going past the 31st. This year we close on the 27th. That's the last Sunday in January in Tennessee.
Yes, 27th.
I can't ever remember hunting in February except for some geese or things like that. But I don't know. I think we just need to stay where we are on the schedule and hope that Mother Nature helps us out a little bit next year. Surely it won't be as warm as it is it has this year, and things can turn around, because I've seen a time when by Christmas or New Year's Day, a lot of people were frozen up and their season was over.
True.
They absolutely could not, because they were backwater and shallow flooded timber or something. They just could not get there. So you got to think about that scenario too.
Well, I know we've got rain all day today here on Saturday in Memphis, and then the front's coming through tonight.
Right.
Frank can't wait to see what it's like in the morning. And I'm. Are you pretty well booked for the following week?
I am. I've got a full contingent, and we're all hoping to go out in style. It can turn around quick. You could have a good week of season here. We don't know, but you could get a big push here at the last minute. And even though it's late, that's uplifting. When you go out on the season in style, you can't wait for next year. You're pumped up. It's kind of like your team winning the last game. It's you're optimistic, and rightfully so. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, it seems like this has happened before, and thank you, buddy. I just wanted to check in with you. We finally got you on the radio, and we'll probably shout at you after the season. Just hope you have a great next week with your clients and everything.
We're all in the same boat together, so thank you much. It's great being with you again.
All right, thanks, Steve. All right, Steve McCadams, and it is what it is, right? I mean,
well, yeah, we could just as easily be talking late in the season about everything's too cold and it's frozen up, and
we've done that before.
So it's there's no good, right, or wrong reason. Our season is defined by there's an agreement between the United States and Canada. It's called the North American Compact, and it defines the earliest that seasons can start and the latest that they can go, and the number of days, and all those things. So there's it's just not only United States involved in this, but it's also Canada involved in it as well.
Well, it just doesn't go along with chronic wasting disease and Asian carp and no ducks. It's just the way it is, and we have to accept this. But I know Frank, and like other ones, a duck hunter is optimistic until it ends, hoping that last day will be the day. And the way I'm hearing it, that we could have a great week next week, which makes you want to come back next year.
That's right. We're always off. Yeah, it's just there are too many duck hunters with gray hair. That's the reason. That's how you. That's
some
how
of them don't even have any hair.
That's how you know that a duck hunter is the eternal optimist.
I've seen some gray-headed deer hunters too, and I will say that They've got the commission from the Tennessee Game and Fish was meeting Thursday and Friday out at Ducks Unlimited. I was out there on Friday yesterday and try to give you a report on next week's show. They've got a big meeting coming up at over on Pickwick. Talk a lot about fishing. You can go to tnwildlife.org, get all the latest information about chronic wasting disease, what the numbers are, where they've been found, and also, of course, you can learn about the fishing, the Asian carp situation, and everything like that. It seems like that I think that makes the duck season that more, I don't know, it stands out more because we've had so much negative other things, and here duck hunters are the most optimistic. We talked about that, So I'm expecting that maybe we're going to have a great week for this final week. And don't forget, for some of you hunters out there, that if you're in Hardeman, Fayette, McNairy County, the deer season continues right on through the end of January, where you have unlimited bucks. Oh, excuse me, not that. No, you don't have that. Unlimited does, one antlered buck that you're still able to kill during this special season. So let's take a break, come back and wrap it up on Outdoors with Larry Ray.